What's going on, guys? It's your average consumer. And yes, I know this video took way too long to come out, but this is a real day in the life with the OnePlus 6. And for those of you who've never seen one of my real day in the life videos, you're pretty much gonna be spending a day with me and the phone, where I pretty much take you through how it performs, the battery life, how the camera works, all that stuff. We're gonna see how it is to actually use this phone in the real world. So let's see how it does. All right, guys, so we've got our OnePlus 6 in hand, and of course it's got 100% battery life to start today. We are running a bit late, it's 11:45, so we'll see how long it lasts throughout the entire day, but starting a little bit late. I'm expecting this thing to have exceptional battery. The OnePlus 5T did really well in terms of battery, so I'm expecting the 6 to do the same. And guys, we are rocking the mirror black version of the OnePlus 6, and I gotta say, this thing is super reflective, which is why it's got its name, but it looks so clean. I'm really hoping I'm not gonna have to throw a case on this guy in the middle of the day. I've been using it for longer than a single day, of course, but I've been using it with a case, so today's the real test to see how it feels in the hand without a case. Hopefully, it's not too slippery, but we'll find out. I've even got my cool watch right here to match with it, so looks perfect together. So this is a classy look, I love it. So something that's pretty unfortunate about the OnePlus 6 is that it's only got one single down-firing speaker. So when you're watching content, it's really not that loud. I've gotten used to hearing stereo speakers with a lot of phones that we're seeing nowadays. You know, I'm listening to this and I'm just
because
really...
he did what he did last night doesn't take away from the
I'm really not that impressed. And what sucks is, depending on how you hold it,
speech that he
you can easily quiet this thing all the way down. So one thing I do wish that the OnePlus 6 had is stereo speakers. Just noticing the sound wasn't super great, just, you know, trying to watch some content here. So right now I'm dealing with a bit of a crisis. My custom painted Gundam by my boy Curio Ventura, this flower actually leaned up on its foot and took off a bit of paint here. And I need to show him the damage, which is the perfect time to try out the cameras on the OnePlus 6. The rear camera has a 16 megapixel shooter as well as a 20 megapixel lens. So let's see what we can get here. Boom. Let's see, that looks like it's gonna be pretty clear. Yeah, you can see that damage easily. Not too sharp, but you can see all the detail necessary. So you can see the kind of damage here. All right, guys, so I took the little feet off of the Gundam. We're headed to UPS so I can ship this out to my boy Jared. And then we're also gonna be returning a few things that we had sitting around the office. So we're shipping those back. You showed them that? So we're gonna be sending those things back to Amazon right now. So we've got the GPS going so we can hit up the UPS spot, and we'll see how that impacts the battery. And just so you guys know, the battery is currently at 88% and it's 2:28 p.m. So we've got a lot more day to go. So we just parked and that was about a 12-minute drive, and we've got 85% battery left now. And the screen usage has been about an hour and 9 minutes. So 15%, and we got an hour and 9 minutes. That's not bad at all, but it's time to go return this thing. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but in terms of brightness, this phone is doing a really good job outdoors. Now, there is no direct sunlight. As you can see, it's a pretty cloudy day. The sun is being blocked by those clouds right there, but it's definitely doing a good job. And that's not really a concern for a lot of phones nowadays. They tend to do a good job outdoors, especially in direct sunlight. And this is amongst those phones that you really don't have to worry about taking this outside. It gets plenty bright. And something that I'm very happy to report is that the mirror black version of this phone isn't as slippery as I would have expected. I definitely would have thought that this phone would have given me a lot of issues in terms of walking around with it and being scared that I'd drop it. But it feels pretty safe in the hands, to be honest. So I'm liking that a lot. Definitely thought I would have needed to throw a case on this guy, like I did with the Galaxy S9, but I feel actually pretty confident with it. Okay, guys, so right now you're seeing footage from the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 6. So this is the image quality as well as audio quality that you could come to expect. My only issue right here with this camera right now is the exposure is a little bit off for me. This would be the ideal exposure right here. Clouds stay intact. My face is still pretty intact, but as you can see, it shifts and those clouds just kind of go away. And I can kind of appreciate that it's doing that because it's trying to keep my face nice and lit. But it turns overexposed in order to do that. It doesn't need to do it, but I can appreciate it trying since I do have a darker face than it's probably used to seeing. but I wish it wouldn't do it. And while we're out here, guys, we're gonna try out this rear camera, see what kind of quality we can get from taking shots outdoors. I've got my little jar of M&Ms here with the UAC colors, so we'll see how that does. Double tap the power button to jump into the camera, which is so fast. I love that. But let's take a shot here. Nice clean photo. And one thing that I really like is that there's portrait mode now. So I can tap that and get a shot here as well. And we'll try this out as well and see how that does. Okay. Now this looks like a pretty clean image. Not super sharp, but there's still more than enough detail here. Now this isn't an easy subject because it's clear. So this is pretty blurred out. So you're not gonna see a really good effect here. This doesn't look that hot, but I might have given it too hard of a job with this clear bottle. One side is completely in focus while the other side is completely blurred out. But we'll give it another subject and see if it does any better. All right, so snap the shot of this little flower. Not bad. Looks like the petals themselves are what's in focus. Everything else is pretty blurred out. This is solid. I wouldn't be upset with this photo at all, so this is pretty good. All right, guys, so it's 5:57 right now, and we've got about 61% battery left. And just to give you an idea of the screen on time, let's see what we've got. All right, 2 hours and 3 minutes. So of course, you know, we were using it a bunch for doing camera tests and stuff like that, but 61% left after 2 hours. I'm not complaining. So I'm sure this has a lot more to go, especially since we're not going to be recording a bunch of stuff later on. All right, guys, so right now we're waiting to get into top, so I figured I'd play some games in the meantime. So right now I'm playing Injustice 2, and this thing is smooth, man. Of course, that makes sense because it's running a Snapdragon 845 processor. But look at this, no dropped frames. This thing's handling like a champ. Ooh, got that Superman kicking my butt. Oh snap. Now there is a feature called gaming mode with the OnePlus 6 that offers a few features that can pretty much enhance your gaming experience, or at least allow you to game without being interrupted. So one of them being answer calls via speaker. So if you've got an incoming call, you don't have to hurry up and put it to your ear while you're playing your game. It'll answer it in speaker mode so that you can just speak to the person without jumping out of your game. And it can block notifications so that if you want to keep gaming without interruptions, it can do that. And there's like some battery saving options as well. And there's also something called Network Boost, which limits other apps from using data so that you can make sure all your resources are going towards that game that you're playing, which is pretty good if you're playing something that's online. You don't want to have your resources eaten up and going to other apps when you're playing against other people. Okay guys, so we're in Tops. We're in a pretty dim area, so it's the perfect time to take a low light picture. We got some nachos right here, so we're definitely got to get a shot of that. So let's see here, pull this out. Damn. And that's a clean image right there. Even in these really dark areas, you're not seeing a lot of noise. So I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the OnePlus 6. It's taking some really good shots so far. Low light. There's some exposure issues we saw with the front-facing camera, but it's all good. It takes some really great photos, especially with the rear camera. All right, guys, so it's much later in the day. It's like 10:55, watching the game. Game 7, Houston versus Golden State. But I'm using the YouTube TV app, and I've been watching this for a while now. Let's see what the battery's at. 26% at the end of the day. Let's see how much screen on time we had. So 4 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time. Very impressive. I can probably get 5 hours with what's left. So just like I saw with the OnePlus 5T, this is definitely going to give us really good battery life. So battery life here, definitely a good thing. All right, guys, so it is 12:35 in the morning. I've been literally on this phone for the past hour or so, and I've got 7% left, and I'm pretty much calling it quits. I'm tired. I got some meetings in the morning, but just to let you know where we are with battery, let's see. 5 hours and 20 minutes. So I've been playing Sonic Forces, a buttload of Instagram. Today I put this phone through its paces, lots of photos, lots of gaming, watching videos, social media, all the stuff that you could typically expect, even using it for GPS. And this thing has done a phenomenal job in terms of battery, like I expected. So I'm very happy with what I saw in the real day in the life today. But any features that I didn't touch on throughout this day, I'll talk about in the wrap up.
And that was our day. Now, I gotta say, guys, I walked away from my time with the OnePlus 6
Very impressed, especially considering that this phone lives in the $500 price range. With its overall design being very similar to what we saw in previous generations, upgrading to a OnePlus 6 is going to feel very familiar if you're already coming from something down the line. It does have a new shape to the fingerprint scanner, but it's still fast and reliable and works the same way, so it doesn't really matter. One thing that I do like is that they brought back that face unlock feature that works very quickly, but it's all up to personal preference on which one you want to use to actually protect your phone, but both options are very quick, so I like that. Now, one of the more immediate changes that we've seen with the overall body of this phone is of course the notch. Now, I'm gonna say it here, I hate notches, I hate that they exist, but at least OnePlus's doesn't really get in the way of the overall user experience. And if you don't like it, you can even turn it off. But with this generation, OnePlus does have some new colors. And I gotta say, I really like what they're doing with their color options here because they really do feel unique compared to other color options that we see from other manufacturers. Very unique stuff, which I can appreciate, like that silk white. I think it's nice. You guys saw my first impressions of my Massive Tech unboxing. Definitely like that. That new red is dope and mirror black. They're all pretty solid. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty big phone, but if you have any experience using bigger phones like an iPhone 8 Plus or maybe even a Galaxy S9 Plus, you're not gonna have any issues here. You guys saw during my real day in the life, that wasn't a complaint of mine. I was able to do everything I needed to from texting and just watching media. All that stuff was just fine. Now, when it comes to the performance of this phone, you can expect it to keep up with most of the flagships out there right now, since it shares pretty much a lot of the same specs. It's running Android 8.1 with Oxygen OS, which feels really close to stock Android, but offers quite a bit more options in terms of customization. They also threw in some gestures with the newest version of this OS, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not really a huge fan of the gestures here. It felt like it would take more effort to actually learn them and use them than it was to just keep the navigation bar. The navigation bar hasn't been a problem for me at all, so I'd prefer to keep it there than to devote the time to the gestures. Honestly, they just didn't seem worth it to me. That said though, I'm glad that they did include some gesture options instead of just taking away the navigation bar and forcing it on everyone. So you have that option if you do really like gestures, just not for me. Now, using it for media consumption is kind of interesting. I think the screen is great, colors are vibrant, and even though it's 1080p, it still feels very sharp. But when watching videos, one of the biggest issues that I have with it is the speaker placement and that single speaker. It just can be very underwhelming. Honestly, that's probably the weakest part of the entire phone. That speaker is just not that great. I do wish, I know OnePlus tries to keep it down, but I do wish they would include some stereo speakers. Maybe we could get that in the next version, but chances are it's not gonna happen, but it would be a really nice addition. Now let's talk about the camera. I gotta say, I was honestly very impressed with it. It's not going to dethrone something like the Pixel 2, but it is a very solid camera, especially considering its price. Low light performance was actually very solid. I took it out to the last Apple event, which was pretty dark, and between that and my iPhone 10, I was honestly liking the results that I got from the OnePlus 6 quite a bit more, and that's what I started using to tweet out my photos during the live event. And it does have dual camera lenses, so you can use special effects like portrait mode, and the portrait mode was pretty decent. I would definitely be able to use it with no problem. If you're really hunting for imperfections, you will find them. I was able to find some with some of the shots that I took. Now, when it comes to that selfie cam, it did a pretty decent job. I found that it overexposed the backgrounds quite a bit, probably because of my darker complexion. It was trying to compensate and bring up the exposure, but overall it just kind of made the image seem a bit more dull and it just felt like there was some kind of haze in my photo. So not a fan of that, but some of the shots were pretty decent. Now at this price, you're gonna be missing out on a couple of features. You shouldn't expect to get all the bells and whistles that you would get from a more expensive premium flagship device. Some things that are missing are wireless charging. Even though this has a glass back, it's sadly not seen here. You're also not gonna get official waterproofing, no expandable storage, which is kind of bizarre since it has like the dual SIM card slot, but no expandable storage. And you're also missing out on a Quad HD display, but that one I can forgive a little bit because the display still does look good and you still get amazing battery life. If the phone had to push more pixels, we would probably see less battery life, and the battery life on this guy is amazing. Absolutely worth the trade-off. But keep that in mind, you're getting a lower resolution phone. It's still rocking the same milliamp hours as the previous device, but I'm okay with that because it just straight up performs. So I'm happy with it, does a really good job. Now, can I recommend this phone? Absolutely. Being in the $500 price range, you're getting everything that you could expect from a phone except for the bells and whistles I mentioned, but it does everything that you need it to, and it does it pretty well. It also has the headphone jack, so come on. I like that that's there, but this is a solid buy, guys. I would absolutely recommend it without batting an eyelash. It's a great phone. But let me know what you guys think of the OnePlus 6. Or do the colors entice you? Is that price something that makes it seem really worthwhile? Let me know with a comment down below, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be the cool guy or girl that gives it a thumbs up. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, it's your average consumer. Peace.